Careful with your pretty eyes and run with me, you're young. 'Cause you and I are a secret. Feel my drift against your skin. 'Cause honestly, let's hold our breath. This is so real. Just you and me.
So today we have the opportunity to check out POCO's latest smartphone, the POCO M4 5G, which sits in the same family as the M4 line of smartphone that POCO carries. But unlike the M4 Pro series, the M4 is like the little brother with slightly toned down specs and cameras to justify the cheaper price. This phone today is sent over to me by POCO for review, and although these were sent over to me, no money has exchanged hands, and this review is based on my honest and unbiased opinion. There are no official global pricing at launch, but the M4 5G comes in two variants. There is a 4GB RAM model with 64 gigs of storage and a 6GB RAM model with 128 gigs of storage. If you gauge it based on the pricing of the M4 Pro, with their lower tiered model only coming in at 899 Malaysia ringgit and their top tiered model coming in at 1099 Malaysia ringgit, I would guess that these would come in at around 600 to 700 ringgit price point. Again, with these phones, storage can be expanded using a micro SD card, so you are mostly choosing it for the better RAM. So the M4 5G has a very standard design, and you get this long phone with a very good screen to bezel ratio with a teardrop camera design at the top here. The main difference here with the M4 series versus the M4 Pro series is the camera setup behind. And where the Pro model gets crazy 50 and 64 megapixel shooters, the camera setup with the M4 5G is much simpler, only with a 13 megapixel shooter. And the back panel here is made of this nice plastic material with their signature circular line styling, and they do a good job in making it feel more premium and maybe look like a metal build with that slight sheen that it has, but ultimately it's still plastic. There is also a 5G logo here to remind you that this is a 5G phone, and at the top here you're going to get a two camera setup, where the top one over here is the main 13 megapixel f2.2 shooter, and below that you're going to get a 2 megapixel f2.4 depth camera that is used mainly for depth control when you're in portrait mode. So you're also going to get an LED flash here and also the infamous POCO branding at the back. So the back panel here is also made of this gloss black plastic, and so just using it for about a day, I can slightly see some scratches appearing here and there, but very minor. And the plastic here also is a mega fingerprint magnet, and fortunately POCO thought through it, and it also includes a silicone case out of the box so you can protect them. So this is how the phone looks like inside the silicone case. Looks pretty nice. It protects this gloss black piece, and it's also jutting out a little bit. And at the side here, it also has a cutout for the fingerprint reader, which is nice. On the left side of the phone, you're gonna get a SIM tray here, and inside here, you're gonna be able to insert two different nano SIMs as well as a micro SD card support, all the way up to 1TB of storage. So storage will not really be an issue for this phone. So at the top of the phone, you're gonna get a 3.5mm jack, so you can still plug your favorite earbuds in. But from my test, these do not support high impedance headphones, so if you have one of those, you still need an amp. On the right side of the phone, you're going to get a volume rocker and also a power button, which also acts as a fingerprint reader, and I much prefer this style compared to the rear mounted reader on the C40, which is a little too high and oddly placed for my hands. So with this phone, all you gotta do is just put your finger on the sensor here. It fits really nicely. That's where my thumb will usually rest, and it immediately opens the phone, which is really fast. At the bottom of the phone, you're going to get a Type-C charging port to charge up this phone, as well as a speaker grill and also a mic port. And at the front of the display, you're going to get a 5 megapixel f2.2 camera for your selfies or your VFs, and POCO also uses this camera for their AI face detections. I'm not too sure how accurate or secure it is, but using it feels decently fast. So moving on to the display, this is where the M4 Pro model trumps both the M4 5G and the M4 Pro 5G, because only the M4 Pro comes with an AMOLED display, and this M4 5G comes with a 6.58-inch Full HD Plus dot drop display with a resolution of 2408 by 1080, which makes it a Full HD screen. This is the same resolution for all the M4 series, but because of the screen size, you're going to get slightly different pixel per inch. So all of the phones in the M4 series comes with a 90Hz dynamic display that dynamically changes its refresh rate based on the application you're running or what you're doing. Do note that out of the box, the refresh rate is set to 60 Hz. So just go into the settings here and you can change it to the 90 Hz, which makes scrolling feels a lot lot faster, a lot smoother, but you do get used to high refresh rates, and after a while you just don't feel it anymore. The M4 5G uses Corning Gorilla Glass and is tough, but they still will break if a sharp object hits it, so best to just use a case or use a screen protector as well. So let's talk a little bit about the battery life of the M4 5G, and it comes with a decently sized 5000 mAh battery, which is plenty sufficient to get you through your work day or your full day with most cases without much issues. So I fully charged my phone at around 11:40 AM and started my full day of YouTube tests to see how well the battery will perform. And this test was performed with maximum brightness, as you can see here, and I just left it playing video all day long. By 2:20 PM, which is around 3 hours in, the battery got down to about 75%, all the way to 58% at 4:30 PM at about the 5-hour mark. So I continued to let it play all the way to 10:15 PM and it got down to 11%. So that is an extreme test. You probably don't watch YouTube the entire day, but this is also with notification coming in, and I think it performed really well. The M4 5G also doesn't support wireless charging, and it supports a nice 18-watt fast charging, not blazingly fast by today's standard. But the good thing is that POCO also ships the phone with a 22.5-watt fast charger, which is really nice, so you can charge up your phone really quickly. So the M4 5G comes with the MediaTek Dimensity 700, which is an octa-core processor clocking a speed of 2.2 GHz together with the ARM Mali G57 MC2 GPU. So this is quite a common processor, mostly used on budget phones and companies like Samsung, Vivo, Xiaomi, Honor, and many more. So it's quite a decent processor and it's pretty smooth from a day-to-day use perspective. I don't feel a lot of hiccups using it for about a week now. And the POCO C40 on the other hand, that we've checked out previously was not the smoothest, and it does get hiccups here and there. So the funny thing about this phone is that in YouTube you don't get 4K option here, even though you got a better processor and a better resolution screen. Even my own videos that I have here, and if I select here and I know that this video is shot in 4K, all I get is a maximum of 2K resolution at 1440p. So this is the maximum that you're gonna get, and POCO removed the 4K support on this phone because like in the case of the C40, it does lag quite a bit when you're running in 4K. So playing PUBG on this phone is also pretty smooth, and you can run it on HD graphics with high texture setting, and you don't really get much lag, and you can see here it's already pretty smooth. Everything works really well. You can look around really fast. So it's a very nice phone if you want to game with it. And in terms of its storage, the 4GB model comes with 64 gigs of internal storage and 128 gigs of internal storage for the 6GB model. So as mentioned before, you can expand this up to 1TB storage using the micro SD card slot. So as of this recording, I don't have any information about the water resistant rating about this phone. Looking at the M4 Pro and M4 Pro 5G, they both come with IP53 dust and splash resistant rating. I'm not so sure whether they are equipped with the same protection, but one thing I know is that they are not water resistant even at IP53. So some splashes is fine, but nothing too wet. So the phone comes supported with Bluetooth 5.1, which is a step up from the Bluetooth 5.0 in the C40 and similar to the M4 Pros. Either way, you still don't get the full Bluetooth 5.2 or 5.3 experience, but then again 5.1 is pretty decent for a budget phone like that. Finally, the POCO M4 5G comes supported with MIUI 13, and this time it comes shipped with Android 12. So you don't have to wait for it to drop, and you're already gonna get the latest Android software as its platform. So the camera here isn't top notch as compared with the likes of the M4 Pro. You're not gonna get the 50 or 64 megapixel camera, and actually runs the same camera setup as the POCO C40 that we previously checked out. So which is like their budget range of camera setup that they put into phones. And from a regular brightly lit environment, the 13 megapixel camera actually pumps out pretty good photos even when zoomed in. Similar to the C40, when in low light situations and you use their night mode, which is a slightly longer exposure shot, you're still gonna see quite a lot of artifacts and noise. For casual use, I think it's fine, but if you want to use it for large prints, then these may not be for you. So the portrait mode here works really well with that depth camera, giving you depth information. I wouldn't say that it's most accurate in cropping out stuff, but hey, even the iPhone sometimes do struggle. So video here is also not the most high resolution, so what you're gonna get here with all your cameras, both front and rear, is that you're gonna get full HD 1080p videos at 30 frames per second, so no 2K, no 4K shots here. The front camera here also looks pretty nice in adequate lighting situations, but in low light mode, you're still gonna suffer quite a bit and it's not the best quality. So sound quality is really nice with the M4 5G, giving you a loud, clear sound quality. There is only one down-facing speaker, but the speaker does sound pretty good. There's not too much depth or bass to it, but then again, for just one tiny speaker, they work really well. And in today's world, it's really nice to have a 3.5mm jack. And I noticed that many of these entry-level phones still gives you that 3.5mm jack, since they don't need to worry about making it look aesthetically perfect. So I personally really love the idea that they still have them. So overall, I really like this execution. It's budget friendly, but its performance is also pretty good. No lag, good looking screen, and good performance. I would love to see an AMOLED display in the future and perhaps a better set of cameras like the ones you get with the M4 Pro. That will make these budget phones a very good option. So that is it for this review. If you find this video helpful, smash that thumbs up button, share this video everywhere, and if you haven't yet subscribed, do consider subscribing. I'll see you in the next video.